All right, ladies and gentlemen, you see it. The bracket is here. The road to San Antonio. It starts technically on March 18th with the first four. We're going to do a whole different video on that one. But first round's beginning on March 20th. We're going to start with the South, where the Auburn Tigers took the number one overall seed to the surprise of no one. Brandy, I feel like we'll have to start here just because of the obligation of you being an Auburn fan. So, what do we think about the 1 versus 16 spot here for your Tigers? I would imagine there's not too much concern whether it be Alabama State or the other St. Francis in that playing game.
Yeah, not a ton of concern there. Hopefully, we get the job done. And I'm hoping we play Alabama State because they are from my hometown in Montgomery, and I would just love to see Auburn and Alabama State go at it for just the betterment of the state. So, not a ton of concern there. Anything can happen, but I like my Tigers in the first round.
Jake and Blake, I assume we're all in agreement here. The Tigers, they're not going to make any kind of bad history and be the third one seed to get taken out by a 16, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think they'll be good.
We'll go ahead and pencil that one in. Auburn on into the second round. Now, this is an intriguing matchup here. Louisville versus Creighton. Louisville, a lot of people are saying amongst their fan base that they feel they were underseeded with the 8 seed there, going up against the 9 seed Creighton. Ryan Kalkbrenner and Stephen Ashworth have really been carrying that team. They just got off their defeat against St. John's in the Big East Conference title. Jake, I'll start with you since we haven't gotten to talk to you in a while. What do we think about the Cards going up against the Blue Jays here? Pat Kelsey in his first year getting the Cards to an 8 seed.
Yeah, I think Louisville is definitely the better team here. Obviously underseeded. I think Kalkbrenner for Creighton is a tough matchup for Louisville, though. Louisville's not deep. They've had some injuries. They're certainly not deep in the front court. James Scott is really the only true center they have left. If Kalkbrenner's having a good game, it could be a good day for Creighton. I think Louisville should probably win if I were picking. I just think they're the better team. They have better metrics. I think both teams are not that well battle tested, playing in the Big East and ACC obviously. But I think I would go Louisville, yeah, if I were picking.
That's one pick for Louisville. Blake, I turn to you. Do we take Pat Kelsey, or are you going with the fighting Ryan Kalkbrenners of Omaha with Creighton there?
Give me L's up in this one. I do think that Louisville is just a flat-out better team in this matchup. Chucky Hepburn, Terrence Edwards. I mean, they're two of the better guards in the ACC, and I think they're a lot better than Creighton as a whole. Like Stephen Ashworth, good player, but I just don't think he matches up well against those guards for Louisville.
Brandy, I'll let you take it here. You have the chance to send Louisville through with the majority here, or you can keep Creighton's hopes alive and swing the vote over to me. What do you think?
I think that Louisville's offense is going to be too much for Creighton. I think there is probably a mismatch inside, though, for Louisville because Kalkbrenner is really good. Going to depend on how well Stephen Ashworth plays for them. I'm going to go the Cards here because it's in Lexington, and they should have a decent home crowd there.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have a nice advantage there with the proximity to Louisville, not too far of a drive, obviously. I'll be at the Lexington games amongst all of the Louisville fans, and Creighton, Auburn, Tennessee as well, I believe, got to Lexington. But I agree with what's been said. Obviously, Creighton has the massive advantage, with Ryan Kalkbrenner. But all around, I think Louisville's got too much for them. High-powered offense. I think they'll be able to take care of business there. I'd be surprised if they don't. But if Creighton were to move on, Kalkbrenner versus Broome in the second round, that could be an intriguing spot there. I don't know if I would want to see that if I'm an Auburn fan. But moving on to the next game in the South Region, the 5 versus 12 matchup. This is where a lot of the March magic happens in most years. The 12 seeds, they tend to have a pretty good track record. So we've got UC San Diego in that 12 seed spot there. They just won their conference championship yesterday. First year that they're eligible for the big dance after completing their transition to Division I, and they waste no time and get in, and they're going to be taking on the Big Ten tournament champions, Dusty May and Michigan, in that 5 versus 12 matchup. Blake, what do we think here? Is this where we're going to see one of our 12-seed upsets of the tournament, or do we have faith in Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden to power them on through to the next round? And Trey Donaldson as well. He's coming off a pretty good performance in the Big Ten tournament.
I got faith. This UC San Diego State or UC San Diego team, they're really tough with Tate Jones, McGee, and Hayden Gray. Like those three players are really big time game changers. Hayden Gray's averaging over 3 steals a game. So defensively, I feel like UC San Diego could give Michigan some issues, but I'm going to go with Michigan here just for the main factor of that front court for Michigan. Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, two super experienced players in college basketball, and I just think they outshine the front court of UC San Diego.
Brandy, what say you? Is UC San Diego going to be one of our Cinderellas of the tournament, or does Michigan get it done here?
I really like UC San Diego. I think this is going to be a popular pick, though, amongst the people. And Michigan is playing some pretty good basketball right now. They did fall off, I would say, like 2 weeks ago. But I feel like in the last week and a half or so, they've really been playing better. Trey Donaldson stepped it up. That's a guard along with Danny Wolf in the front court. Both of those guys have good March experience. And Dusty May has experience in March as well. So I think I'm going to go Michigan here, and I think it's going to be a close one. I just think that front court's going to be too much for UC San Diego to overcome. I think this is a bad draw for UC San Diego, a team that I was hoping to pick to go on a little Cinderella run in the first and second round.
I definitely think there's a mismatch there for Michigan and UC San Diego. But, Jake, I'll let you take the vote here before we send one of these teams on through. Michigan or UC San Diego? Who's it going to be? You can send Michigan through with the third vote here if you'd like.
Yeah, I think like Randy said, UC San Diego is gonna be like a really popular upset pick, like almost like that. It's not even like considered an upset anymore, if you know what I mean. Like it'll be like the popular vote. And that's because they force a lot of turnovers. They're like second in defensive turnover rate or something, I believe. Michigan has turnover problems. But obviously Michigan has the 2 7-footers. UC San Diego doesn't have that much size, so I feel like each team has different advantages and disadvantages in this one, but I kind of want to pick UC San Diego, but I think I'm just going to go Michigan because I feel like the upset's just going to be like overpopulated. And
Yeah, I agree. Even if I was thinking about UC San Diego, the majority is going to go to Michigan here, but I think Michigan's got too much and that they'll take care of business in this one.
And they're playing really well right now.
Yeah, I was just
as of this
about to
tournament.
say that. Yeah. You always got to ride with a team that's playing hot coming into the tournament, and they're coming off a really great run in the Big Ten tournament. So moving on, Brandy, this one is going to probably bring back some bad memories here, but Yale, they're back in the big dance for a second year in a row. The 13 seed coming off last year when they upset Auburn. Now they're going to be playing the 4 seed Texas A&M. Brandy, what do we think? Do the Bulldogs have some more March magic in them? This is the second time we've seen them in the last 2 years, so they're starting to become a familiar face when it comes to the big dance.
I think maybe they might. They looked really good today against Cornell, and I think, against Cornell in their championship game. And they can really shoot the ball from 3, just kind of how they did last year. And this is like one of the historically best Ivy League teams in the history of the conference. There's been some stats thrown out there about how good they've been this season. So I kind of wouldn't be surprised here if Yale upsets Texas A&M. But Anderson Garcia has been playing out of his mind for them, and he's an actual threat from 3 in the past 3 or 4 weeks, which is not something I would have expected to say, I don't know, like a month or even 2 months ago. So he can keep shooting it like he has been. That's something that gives Texas A&M some spark on offense that they just didn't have before. So yeah, I'm going to go with Yale. I think I'm going to try to pick an upset here.
I'm going with you on this one. I got Yale as well. Blake Smith, are you going to join the Yale train on this one? What do we think? Texas A&M, I mentioned all season long, they've really struggled to make that second weekend, and they really had an unimpressive SEC tournament display going out against Texas. I think this is a concerning spot if you're Buzz Williams. This is not one of the better draws of all the mid-majors that you could have asked for.
Concerning, yeah, but these are both like really physical teams, and I just think Texas A&M is going to have the upper hand in this one just because of the experience and march that they have with Wade Taylor. Manny Oboski has played some minutes. Anderson Garcia has been a big factor. When you go back to, I think it was last year where he made that big and 1-3, was laying on the
Yep.
ground and flex. Like, his
Yep.
team's got some experience. Buzz Williams has some recent experience, and I think that's going to give them the upper edge in this game.
Jake, the vote now turns to you. We've got 2 for Yale, 1 for Texas A&M. You've got the swing vote here. We're either going to a tie or Yale's going through. What say you, Mr. Rawl?
Yeah, I'm going Texas A&M.
Ooh.
Let's
I'm
go,
just
Jake.
favoring the athleticism and physicality and overall talent for Texas A&M, but Yale does have a little bit of March experience. They won last year against Auburn. Yeah, I'm gonna go Texas A&M.
Okay, now the trump card's going to come into play here. We'll start by giving it to Brandy, and we'll just loop our way around. Brandy, you have the power to push Yale through here. We can send Texas A&M on to the next round.
Okay.
The pressure's on.
Oh,
You are representing the full court traps bracket with this pick, Brandy.
let's just ride with the Aggies and
Okay.
Buzz Williams' pesky style of play.
Okay. Sorry about it, Yale.
Let's
No
go.
second year upset for you, according to the Full Court Trap podcast. First trump card has been played. The next one will go to Blake for reference as we move through here. Okay. Moving on down the bracket, we have Ole Miss versus the winner of San Diego State versus the most undeserving tournament team I have seen in my lifetime, the North Carolina Tar Heels. We'll get to that later when we do a whole video on the bubble. I've got a lot of thoughts about that. But for now, I'm sending the Ole Miss Rebels through to the next round. Don't have much more to say than that, other than both of those teams I don't think matches up super well with Ole Miss. Sean Padula, Matthew Morrell, Malik Dia. That's a very scary combo to have for a 6 seed. And I think that they can maybe make some noise as they go through this bracket. But, Jake, I'll turn to you. Do you think Ole Miss takes care of whoever comes out of the play-in spot here?
Yeah, I do. I don't think San Diego State can keep up offensively like they were in prior years, even when the offense wasn't all there. But this year, I think it's especially bad. And then UNC, I just don't think, obviously 1-12 against quadrant 1 teams. I just don't think that they have anything in them to win a game in March. So yeah, Ole Miss.
Blake, you have the power to send Ole Miss through.
That's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I don't think San Diego State matches up fairly well with Ole Miss, and I think Ole Miss is just the better team than both San Diego State and the frauds of the tournament, UNC.
Brandy, I'll let you get your opinion out, even though we already have a majority vote here. Would you be rolling with Ole Miss as well in this spot?
Yeah, I'm rolling with Ole Miss here. Be interested to see who comes out of that SCSU UNC game. But I think Ole Miss gets their first tournament win in a really long time in this game. I like their offense still. I think they have fun guards, and I don't think that neither SCSU or UNC have the offense that has basically been a kryptonite for Ole Miss's defense because they switch so much and they allow so many open threes. I don't think that either SCSU or UNC can capitalize on what a lot of other teams have been able to against that Ole Miss defense. So we're going to see Ole Miss cause one of these teams to turn the ball over a ton because they do that really well, and they also protect the ball really well. So I'm rocking with Ole Miss.
Fair enough. I think that's a pretty safe pick here in the South. Now, moving on. This is what I consider when I looked at the 3-14 matchups. I think this is the most intriguing one of the bunch. Iowa State, the 3 seed, at one point in this season, they were in conversations for a 1 or a 2, had some injuries, some rough play. Now they sit here at the 3 seed. They're going up against a 14 seed in Lipscomb. That they've gone up against some quad 1 opponents this year. They were scrappy with Arkansas for a while. They got blown out in Rupp Arena against Kentucky. But now they're coming out of the A-Sun. They obviously have the automatic bid. And Jacob Ognosovich, I'm just saying, look out for this guy. He averages around 20 a game, A-Sun Player of the Year. He's a pretty dominant force for them. And I could definitely see if we're picking a 3-14 upset, there tends to be probably about 1 a year. Mostly, it's rare that you see 2 of them. I think this could be the one here. I'm not going to straight up pick Lipscomb just yet. I want to hear everybody else's thoughts, but I think this is a compelling matchup. I'll start with you, Blake. What do you think?
You said it best. This is a really compelling matchup. These teams honestly match up together like really nicely. They're both really solid on defense. They're both pretty good offenses as well. Uh, I do think this could be a game that could go into the Bison's favor here. I mean, they've been magnificent all year, besides like against Arkansas in the second half where they blew it. And they've been on a tear down the stretch in the ASUN. So I do think this is a game that could get scary for Iowa State, but I'm still going to take the Cyclones in this one because, I mean, Milan Mobsovich, or however you say it, Curtis Jones, those guys are just, I feel like, a lot better. Joshua Jefferson as well. He's one of the most underrated bigs in the country. I've talked about that a few times, and I think he's going to dominate in the interior in this one.
Jake, I'll turn to you. What do you think about this 314 spot?
Yeah, I think Iowa State is in a good position to be the team that gets upset because obviously they're not playing as well as they were in November and December, but and they just lost Keyshawn Gilbert for the year, so that's obviously a big blow. One of your best players. But I just don't think like Lipscomb can. I mean, Iowa State plays such a tough defense, and I just don't think Lipscomb can like basically score with them. So I'm going Iowa State.
All right, Brandy, you have the power to send Iowa State through here.
Yeah, I actually really like Lipscomb in this spot because of how early their ASUN championship game was played, and it was also played in Nashville, so they didn't have to travel or do anything like that for their tournament. And Coach Linney's had a ton of time to prepare. They have a really decent guard room that can catch fire from three, and losing a double-digit scorer for the rest of the season and Keyshawn Gilbert, while already trending down, is a little bit of a concern for me with Iowa State. I do still really like their defense, though, and I don't think that Lipscomb has really faced a defense that's as strong as this Iowa State defense is all year. So, and to me, like the ASUN this year, North Alabama was good, but really outside of that, I thought that the ASUN just wasn't all that this year. Yeah, let's send Iowa State through. It's chalk, but
Okay.
Lipscomb, I think, not going to be able to get the offense that they like to cook working against this defense.
Yeah, I'll give my pick. Honestly, I think Lipscomb gets it done here. There's just something going on with Iowa State lately. They're not playing as well as you'd like to see from them heading into the postseason here, and I just really like Jacob Ognisovic's game, and I think they could be in a spot here where they upset Iowa State. Looking at all the other 314 matchups, I don't really know if I see one. And I think that we're going to see at least one of them. And I feel like Iowa State might be the most vulnerable right now, but the majority will send Iowa State through. That's fine by me. Iowa State, I still think they're a good team. They've just been kind of scaring me lately with some of the inefficiency they have had. They've looked a little bit incohesive at times, but hey, you got a perfect opportunity to get yourself right here because this is a team that in theory you should have no problems beating, but we know that's not how March always works. But moving on into the 7-10 matchup, Marquette versus New Mexico. I'm going to go ahead and give my pick here. I'm taking Donovan Dent and the Lobos. Blake, I turn to you next. Are you going to take Cam Jones and Marquette here? Or are you going to ride with the upset pick of New Mexico?
My heart tells me New Mexico just because of how inconsistent Marquette's been, but I'm just going to take the easy one here and go Marquette. I don't feel like Cam Jones is going to let this team go down in the first round with how hot they started early in the season. They've cooled off a crap ton down the stretch in the Big East, but I still think Cam Jones is going to have a big opening round game against the Lobos.
Mm-hmm. Brandy, what do you think here in this spot?
I think this is going to be a super exciting game from a defensive perspective. To me, both of these teams have solid defenses. We always, Shaka Smart's always going to have a good defensive team. But I think I got to roll with New Mexico here. I love Donovan Dent, and I really like Nelly and their front court too. To me, the duo of both of them are really impressive. Am a little concerned about some of the rumors that maybe Richard could be heading to a different school to take over, kind of a step up, and Donovan's going to follow him. So a little concerned about maybe their focus because of some of the rumors swirling, but I think I like New Mexico here. I like the Mountain West Conference. I think they're not as strong as they had been the past couple of years, but this team has shown a ton of fight all season long, and they just pull away from games late and they control possessions, and Marquette's just been trending the wrong direction, I feel like.
Jake, you're the deciding vote here. You can go ahead and send the Lobos through, or we're going to have a tie, and the trump card goes to Blake.
Yeah, I'm sending the Lobos through. I think Dent's the best player in this matchup, and it's not as if I think they're better than Marquette, but I just feel like Dent is the type of player to at least win one game,
Yeah.
Come on.
And I think they're kind of due for one, too, because somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I know they got in last year. I believe their only game they got obliterated by Clemson. I'm correct in that, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I want to say that I am.
Also, you can talk about how Shaka Smart kind of has postseason troubles.
Yeah. He definitely hasn't been Mr. March by any means.
No.
And that moves straight into my next one, Mr. March himself, Tom Izzo. They've got the 2 seed, Michigan State, going against Bryant. I'm going to go ahead and pencil in MSU. Does anybody object and want to make the case for Bryant? By the silence I hear, I can't see anybody because I'm looking at the bracket. I'm going to imagine nobody's objecting.
Yeah, we were all shaking our heads.
Okay. Yeah, you guys are going to have to give me a little bit of cues of what the mood is here because I'm just looking straight into a bracket. But yeah.
Move on.
Michigan State, Bryant, congratulations on punching your ticket, but the road ends here. The Spartans are a phenomenal team. They're going to keep things rolling. But now we're just going to keep it with the South. We'll go through each region individually, working our way into the Final Four. Now we've got Auburn versus Louisville. Brandy, I'll swing it back to you. Is War Eagle flying into the next round against Pat Kelsey's Cardinals?
I'm a little bit concerned given that Auburn hasn't made a second weekend since the 2019 Final Four run. So there's a little bit concern about how much pressure is going to be on this team, especially finishing off the season, losing 3 out of our last 4 games, not trending in the right direction from a rebounding perspective, or just creating offensive sets that don't fully rely on just Janai Broome and the health of this team. Bruce Pearl just said in a press conference that is happening as we speak right now that the team is fully healthy, but there have been moments still where not everybody actually looks like that. So I don't know. I think I'm going to have to push Louisville through here because it's in Lexington. I think this is a mismatch for Auburn or mismatch for Louisville, but I'm concerned about Auburn's chances getting to a Sweet 16 when Bruce just hasn't shown tournament success, and Louisville still seems to be playing good basketball, even though they're down a ton of players, injury throughout the year. Just sometimes teams like this just find ways to win, and I don't know if we'll be able to stop Chucky Hepburn from an offensive perspective. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing a little bit of reverse jinxing here because I'm nervous, but I don't know. I think the round of 32 is going to be the hardest for Auburn in this entire bracket or part of the region, and I think there's some concerns about how we're trending right now.
Well, I mean, you saw my face. I'm a little bit shocked by that one, Brandy. I'm not going to lie. I expected you to go with Auburn easily here, but hey, that not making it to the second weekend, we know a thing or two about that as well. We're looking to break that curse this year. But Blake, we got some upset potential brewing here with the trap. Brandy's already gone out and said it. You want to jump on the revival train? I mean, we did a whole video on them earlier in the season. We obviously have been big fans of the turnaround of that program. You think they put a real big exclamation point on this season and take down the number 1 overall seed of the tournament?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, earlier in the year, I said Final Four for Louisville.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, on the revival video.
So,
it's time to stand on business.
Hey, I'm doubling down. I stand on business only. We're going Louisville here. Come on. Chucky Hepburn, do me some magic. Come on.
Oh, my goodness. This has gone off the rails. I'm going with Auburn. Jake, if we tie here, Blake has the trump card, and I think I know what he's going to do with it. So
please,
pick accordingly. It's all up to you, Jake.
Your mic's off.
Oh yeah, you're muted, Jake. I was wondering why.
Okay.
I was wondering why.
No, yeah, I was asking. I was saying, isn't this just basically Louisville either way then? Because I either pick them or I pick Auburn and
Well,
Blake trumps
well,
it.
that depends on if Blake wants to use his card now or if he's got something up his sleeve. So just pick with your gut first.
Yeah, I was picking Auburn because like I don't
Yeah.
think
Okay.
Louisville has the depth, but it's gonna be
Okay.
Louisville anyway now.
Okay, Blake, you can make it official here. Are you going to use the trump card and send the cards through?
Oh my god.
Nah, I'm kidding. We're going War Damn Eagle here.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm done
Okay.
with the trolling.
Okay, well, Blake had
I was
us in the
gonna
first
say-
half, not going to lie.
Yeah.
Auburn fans, you survived a scare in this part of the video. Blake wanted to keep things spicy.
Like,
today.
I'm gonna
That's
get cooked for saying that. We
Yeah,
really
Brandy,
struggle to
gosh.
make it.
Have some
Brandy's the face
faith,
of
Brandy.
Auburn.
Man.
Look,
Man's gonna get
Look, the
killed.
craziest stuff happens to Auburn. You guys wouldn't understand.
Hey,
No, when I was muted,
try me.
when I was
can
mu-
understand.
when I was muted, I was literally saying, "Is there like any point in me even like choosing here?"
Blake had to keep the viewers on their toes. I like it.
Yeah.
But we'll move on from that and get into Michigan versus Texas A&M, the 5 and the 4. I'll start it off here. If this is the matchup, I like Michigan. I've had my critiques of Texas A&M all season long. When you're led by Wade Taylor going into a postseason, that can be one of two things. It can be phenomenal because he gets hot and he pushes you through, or it could be an absolute disaster and he puts up a stinker and you're going home. And I think they're going to go home here. I think Michigan has a clear advantage in the front court. They've got an advantage in the front court on just about anybody in this tournament, to be quite frank, with Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf. That's a really good pairing there. But I think Dusty May keeps things rolling in this year one turnaround and gets them to the Sweet 16. Jake, I'll turn it back to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going with Texas A&M because Michigan's turnover problems is obviously a big deal, and with how tough Texas A&M is and their defense and how they pressure you, I just think it's a bad matchup for Michigan, especially with their backcourt, which I don't think is on the like better side of things. And obviously Texas A&M has Wade Taylor, Zurich Phelps, so yeah, I'm going Texas A&M.
Brandy, how about you? Texas A&M or Michigan?
I think I'm gonna go Michigan here. I just think they're playing very good basketball right now, and they just won their conference tournament. And they did so in the last two games in kind of like really exciting fashion. And those are the types of things that really propel teams forward. And I don't really know if Solomon Washington's going to be able to stop Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. Texas A&M's athletic, and Solomon Washington has size, but outside of that, I feel like they're a tad undersized. And I don't think, just coming from Big Ten basketball against SEC basketball, if Texas A&M is going to be able to adjust to the whistle in NCAA tournament, because they've benefited a lot from Wade Taylor getting a whistle in his favor, in my opinion, in conference play. So I'm going to go with Michigan here.
All right, Blake, it's in your hands once again. You didn't use the trump card last time. We've got a possible split vote going here. What do you think about the Michigan Texas A&M battle?
So last time these two teams actually faced off in the NCAA tournament was 2018. Michigan put belt to ass. Michigan had like 99 points, I think it was, against A&M. And I think it's going to
Belt
be
to
the
ass.
reverse this time. Yeah, literally, belt to ass. I think it's going to be the reverse this time, though. I think A&M is the better team outright. They were paired up with the best of the best in the country in the SEC this year. I think they're battle tested. And I just think their physicality compared to Big Ten ball and Michigan playing in that Big Ten conference in a kind of weaker conference this year compared to the past few years. I mean, they're top heavy, but that bottom half of that conference is really weak. So give me A&M in this one. I just think they are the better team outright.
Will you be using your trump card to send them through, since we have a split decision here?
Can I save it if I don't use it here?
You can, yeah, but if you want
Okay, you know
your
what?
pick going
Just
through,
send A&M to
send the
Sweet
Aggies
16.
through.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The Aggies are moving on. Me and Brandy tried to fight for Michigan and failed miserably. Mr. Smith sending the Aggies on. All right, moving down the bracket, Ole Miss, Iowa State. This would be a very exciting matchup if we get it. I think that Lipscomb might get Iowa State there, but we'll roll with what we've got here as a group. if it's Ole Miss versus Iowa State, I'll just start it off right here. I'm going Ole Miss. Brandy, how about you?
Oh man. This would be a really interesting matchup, if we
Yeah.
do end up getting it. Um, I feel like Ole Miss kind of struggled against teams that have better defenses, so I think I would have to go Iowa State in this one. But I think the front court for Ole Miss would really have to step up, kind of similar to how they did when they beat Tennessee here towards the end of the season recently. Brakefield kind of went off and took over that game, and that's truly what propelled them to win that one. Um, but there are games where their front court just fully disappears, and you're like, you kind of have to have that if you're Ole Miss. So you know what? I'm gonna go Ole Miss. Actually, I was thinking Iowa State. I'm gonna rock with you. I'm gonna go Ole Miss.
That's 2 for Ole Miss, Blake. You have the possibility here to send the Rebels on through.
Uh,
The most dangerous man in the world, Blake Smith.
I got all the power in the world right
He's
now.
got all of it at his fingertips.
Dude, Ole Miss or Iowa State? I don't know.
It's very intriguing, I will say, because you got Malik Dia versus Milan Momcilovic, and then you got Sean Padula, Matthew Morrell going up against the guards of Iowa State. This is definitely an intriguing spot here. I don't envy your decision, Blake, as you are the swing vote, possibly.
I'll go with my gut. Ole Miss. I think Malik Dia is going to have a big game, to be honest with you guys. He just improved a crap ton this year. He was even a good player at Vandy and Belmont beforehand, but I just think he's elevated his game a lot more. Sean Padula, really experienced player, and I think Iowa State's later season struggles are going to be shown here in this matchup, and their health issues. I mean, they got Curtis Jones back, but Keyshawn Gilbert being out for the season's a huge loss, going against a ton of experience in Ole Miss.
All right, Jake, I'll make sure you get your say out, even though the vote's decided. Ole Miss or Iowa State?
Yeah, I was gonna go Iowa State.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, buddy. You have the, you,
Yeah.
you have the trump card the next time there's a split decision. If it makes you feel better. Okay, moving on. We've got New Mexico versus Michigan State. Excuse me, Blake's got me tripping over here. But this is a very exciting matchup as well because Donovan Dent. I feel like this is a spot where he could really stamp himself as a March Madness just type of player that we all love. I mean, most of the college basketball fans around the country know the name by now, but the casuals that are coming in for this tournament, they're going to be looking for somebody that's exciting, an underdog story, and New Mexico and Donovan Dent provide that in this spot here against Michigan State. I'll start with you, Jake. What do you think about this 10 versus 2 spot?
Yeah, I think MSU is just way too good across the board for someone like New Mexico State, who is really reliant on someone like Donovan Dent to beat them. But I think they could give him a scare. Donovan Dent, like MSU defense is really good, but there's not many better guards than Dent in college basketball, so he can make something happen. But I just think overall Michigan State is too well-rounded, too good defensively, and they have really good talents like Jace Richardson, so I'm going to MSU.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with you too to get my pick out, Michigan State. So we got 2 for the Spartans right now as I send it over to you, Brandy. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Michigan State too. I think Jade Akins is playing some of his best basketball offensively that he has, and Cohen Carr in the front court's really exciting, best dunker in the country. Kohler's maybe not that great, but outside of that though, I really like this guard room. Trey Holloman I think has been playing well too, and so and also Izzo, like he's a good coach in March, and it's hard to kind of pick against him, and he knows what he's doing. So I'm rocking with Izzo.
January, February. What comes next, Blake?
The man, the myth, the legend, Izzo. Michigan
Baby.
State easily winning the spot.
Yep. Okay. Your vote wouldn't have mattered anyway. We already had the majority, but I'm glad that you. I'm glad.
I need my hammer. I need to put my hammer down.
All right. Now we turn to the Auburn Tigers going up against Texas A&M in the Sweet 16. Brandy, you tried to send your own team to the grave, but we wouldn't let that happen. They're going on to the Sweet 16. What do we think about this matchup if this is the one we get?
You guys, Bruce Pearl's 2-6 against Buzz. And
This is a revenge spot.
maybe a revenge spot from when we lost to them last week. I don't know, because the style of play that they have is just not conducive for Auburn. But if our guards are on, which they weren't in that game, we were without Denver Jones in that game, and it was still a single-digit loss or an 11-point loss, something like that. Game will be played in Atlanta. Auburn will definitely have a home crowd. That's an hour and a half from Auburn. Fans have probably already been buying tickets for a good bit for this game. If we get out of the round of 32, I got to rock with Auburn.
Auburn it is for the first pick. Blake, Auburn or the Aggies? Who we go with?
Auburn. I know Brandy said that Auburn and Bruce Pearl, like under Bruce Pearl, they're 2-6 against Buzz, but I just think Auburn's the better team. Sure, they've struggled down the stretch, but so is A&M. I just think Auburn is a much better team, top to bottom. Denver Jones, I feel like, would be a big key in that game just because of how defensively driven he is as a player. And I think Tahad Petterford could be another guy in this game to be a big-time contributor.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Michigan to be here, so obviously we all know what I think. But Jake, I'll let you take this one. You have the possibility to go ahead and set Auburn through.
Yeah, I'm setting Auburn through. I think they were really bad in the first matchup against A&M, but they don't make that same mistake twice, and they're better this time. So yeah, send them on.
I'm rocking with you all on that. If this is the matchup we get, Auburn, I think they take it easily, honestly. Revenge spot for that regular season game. I think Bruce will have them ready to go. But this is an intriguing spot, too. Ole Miss, our little underdog of the region. I wouldn't say they're a Cinderella, but underdog is a fair term to use here. The 6 going up against Michigan State at the 2 for a spot in the Elite 8. Jake, I'll turn to you first. What do we think here? Do the Rebels and their underdog story come to an end against Mr. March?
Yes, they do. I'm setting MSU through. They're kind of similar teams, better defensively, and at times struggle to score the ball. But I think MSU is just a better version of them, like a lot better version of them. But yeah, I'm setting Michigan State through.
Brandy, Spartans or Rebels?
Rocking with Izzo. I think Ole Miss's little Cinderella run comes to an end here. A more experienced team, and I think a better defensive team than Ole Miss is too, and a better coach team.
Fair enough. Blake, you going to send Mr. March through to the Elite 8?
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm rolling with the Spartans as well. I think they'd just be too much for Ole Miss in that one, and that would set up the best matchup for the Elite 8 possible in this region. Auburn against Michigan State. Brandy, you tried to bury them in the round of 32, but now here we have them in the Elite 8. Is Auburn going back to the Final Four for the first time since 2019?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good matchup for Auburn if it ends up being Auburn and Michigan State. I don't know if Kohler is enough to stop Johni Broome inside. And with the kind of flex action that Auburn runs, I don't think that Izzo's team is built to stop that right now. Yeah, I'm gonna send Auburn through if it's a matchup with Michigan State.
Blake, is Auburn going to the Final Four?
Yeah, I think that should be the answer across the board. I just think Auburn is the best team in the country still, even though they're not ranked number 1. I just think top to bottom, that team is super special.
Jake, you heard the man. He thinks this should be the pick across the board. Does Auburn go to the Final Four? You've got the ability to send them there.
Yeah, Blake's picking for me already, so.
Fair enough. Blake speaks for the full court trap. He brought us all here. He gets the final say.
Hell yeah.
But I'm assuming, Jake, you definitely are.
Yeah, I'm going Auburn.
Okay, yeah. I don't want to have any information suppressed by our leader here, but yeah, I'm going with Auburn. I think they get back to the Final Four for the first time since 2019. This bracket, I really think it is a good draw for them overall. But like Brandy said, honestly, the biggest issue I think for them is going to come in that second round. If they get Louisville or if they even draw Creighton with Kalkbrenner, I think that could be a problematic spot for them. But Auburn, that's our Final Four pick from the South. And